imagine being in Venezuela and knowing this, because a lot of people had access to Bitcoin in Venezuela early, and some people took it. Some people took it, not just held it, but some people took it and then also created businesses on top of it. And most people held their currency and got destroyed by their currency.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's what's going to happen. And everybody looks at Venezuela and says, I can't believe they did that, when they are doing it themselves right now, because everywhere is Venezuela. It's just relative. And that means no one in the world today actually lives in a true democracy, because you don't have a vote with how much of your money is being manipulated. So we have an appearance, a charade of a democracy, which is really a control system where the majority of the money comes from debasing your units, just stealing from you.
There's growing unease as currencies lose value and governments print money like never before. While many think crises like Venezuela's can't happen here, Jeff Booth warns we may be heading the same way, just slower. Booth highlights a deeper issue. Technology drives prices down, but our debt-based system requires inflation to survive. To avoid collapse, central banks keep inflating money, benefiting the few and hurting most. He sees a clash between tech-driven deflation and an inflation-driven financial system. Yet, Bitcoin offers hope as a decentralized, secure alternative, a new foundation for a global free market. This shift isn't future talk, it's happening now, with huge implications for those who understand it. Still paying taxes on your crypto gains? What if you didn't have to? With ITrust Capital, you can buy and sell crypto inside a tax-advantaged IRA, giving you a smarter way to grow your portfolio without worrying about capital gains tax. That's why they're the #1 crypto IRA platform in America, with billions in tax-advantaged transactions. There are multiple ways to fund your account. You can make a contribution, transfer an existing IRA, or roll over an old 401k or employer plan. You'll get access to a wide range of digital assets, low fees, and 24/7 trading, all backed by secure, one-to-one asset ownership with institutional-grade custody. And if you have questions, ITrust Capital offers 100% US-based customer support with real people ready to help. Click the link, use code DOSE7, and get your $100 funding bonus today. Start building your crypto wealth, tax-advantaged, with ITrust Capital.
So, but that transition period is happening right now. So this house, I've said it many times on your podcast, this house, and every time I say it, right, it's cheaper in Bitcoin terms. Right now, it was 300 Bitcoin 5 years ago, and now it's 11 Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we're on a podcast together, it's cheaper in Bitcoin terms. And so if you measure, what would a different question, an open, anybody could use it, decentralized, secure, you cannot break it, protocol, which would come in layers, adding more and more functionality, protocol bounded by energy look like? Wouldn't it, if it stayed decentralized and secure, and you couldn't change it, and it was bounded by energy, wouldn't it describe the first global free market that ever existed? And wouldn't, relative to it, all energy prices be falling? All manufacturing prices be falling, all house prices be falling, all everything be falling, right? If you measured from that first global free market, you could say every single person that moved their time to it would compete more for value for all of us, and you would have faster and faster deflation in it forever.
Yeah.
From that. And the only caveat would be it stays decentralized and secure. There isn't another caveat. So if it stays decentralized and secure, and so all of the work should be, do you believe it'll stay decentralized and secure, and how can you become a node to ensure it does, right? And then you start utilizing your time into this new protocol, and you are part of the thing that's imposing a discipline across the world that is the first global free market that ever existed. And the more you're inside that system, everything else from the other system makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense why it would try to drive you into fear that AI is going to kill you. It would make it, because that way you could regulate AI. It would try to make you believe that Biden was a hero or Trump was a hero, or insert any single person from that system, Elon Musk, just name a bunch of people from inside that system. It would be trying to convince you that it wasn't a structural problem, somebody could save you. And it would be doing that with more and more AI tools. And if the more you listened inside that system, the more you would be convinced that that's normal. This goes on forever. And we're very, very early. We're crazy early. Because I would say the majority of Bitcoiners are actually Bitcoiners measuring in a US dollar thinking it's going up.
Absolutely.
In other words, the majority of Bitcoiners are still reinforcing an inflationary monetary system. And the majority of Bitcoiners will sell their Bitcoin back to that system. And in other words, they'll distribute their Bitcoin to other people, right? As this goes on, we are so crazy early, insanely early in the understanding that this is imposing a new discipline. But most people, so just take 3 different buckets of people. There's Bitcoiners that are like you and I, who are pricing in Bitcoin and watching the first global free market advance. And in that world, AI is wonderful. It's a productivity tool, makes everybody richer. It just moves faster and faster, broad-based abundance from that world. There's another group of people who are Bitcoiners who are still in fiat, right? And who are potentially getting co-opted by a system that it would, if you couldn't kill Bitcoin, what you'd try to do is co-opt it. Try to get people not to go into self-custody, not run nodes. You can trust the centralized version of a paper instrument, Tether or whatever on Bitcoin. That's safer. You'd be convinced in that, and you'd be convinced because it would appear to you your Bitcoin was going up, and it would match your view of the world, right? It's always been, prices always rise. And then there'd be a third group of people who don't understand Bitcoin at all, think it's a scam or it's so early. And what would be happening in their world? They'd be getting debased at a crazy rate. So it actually says nothing about Bitcoin. It says nothing about, it says our own version of what we think reality looks like in this new immovable thing that's imposing a discipline. And on each side, you could see and I've said this many times before, so apologize if people have heard it over and over again, but imagine being in Venezuela and knowing this, because a lot of people had access to Bitcoin in Venezuela early, and some people took it. Some people took it, not just held it, but some people took it and then also created businesses on top of it. And most people held their currency and got destroyed by their currency. Right. So that's what's going to happen. And everybody looks at Venezuela and says, I can't believe they did that, when they are doing it themselves right now, because everywhere is Venezuela. It's just relative. And that means no one in the world today actually lives in a true democracy, because you don't have a vote with how much of your money is being manipulated. So we have an appearance, a charade of a democracy, which is really a control system where the majority of the money comes from debasing your units, just stealing from you. And so, of course, from within that system, and what that system would have to do to make you think it's okay to do that, they would have to, it would be filled with all the things people are worried about, and it will also make people more worried. If you were just trying to understand Bitcoin, it'd be pulling you into that other system.
Booth emphasizes this is more than a monetary problem, it's a civilizational crisis. Our global economy is built on debt and requires constant growth to survive. When deflation threatens growth, central banks print money to inflate assets, widening wealth gaps and distorting markets, not because capitalism fails, but because money itself is broken. He highlights technology, like AI and robotics, as a deflationary force making things faster and cheaper. Yet, the system fights this by increasing debt and inflation to maintain a false sense of stability. This race between deflation and monetary expansion can't last. Here's where Bitcoin matters, not just as an asset but as a parallel system with fixed supply, energy-based security, and no central authority. Booth says Bitcoin exposes fiat's flaws, offering a credible, unmanipulable store of value aligned with the future, unlike the unstable traditional system. Let's return to Booth's interview.
In some ways, does AI actually enshrine the power of this like control system, in the sense that as people lose their jobs, they're going to want things like UBI? And does that actually make the system stronger in some ways?
So this is a nuanced question. Yes, to the people that don't know. because they're essentially being mind melded into this is okay, right?
Yeah.
And they will vote for more of it, and they'll vote for more, they'll take less and less agency and trust other people have their best interests while that's being extracted. The wealth and power is being extracted from them, and they will turn within the system, just like this has always happened before in every previous history.
Yeah.
To elect other people to essentially take more of their individual rights and freedoms.
Yeah.
In service, in name of protecting them. It will happen. Not, it might happen. It will, and lots of people will be stuck there. But while that's happening as well, there's an escape hatch for every single person who wants to take their own agency and build onto the first global free market that's ever existed. And nothing can stop them. Nothing. And so they can just move. I've said many times, it's like they're in a jail cell yelling at their captor, and the jail cell door is open and they could just walk out and live in freedom. And they're so convinced with their narrative of the way that the world looks. This, by the way, this is true for many Bitcoiners too, thinking that there's a solve within that through politics. Well, this other system is completely imposing a different reality.
Do you think we are likely to see UBI in the next, I don't know, say like 5 years?
Will people vote for more UBI and elect people who say that you can have something from nothing without understanding where that money comes from? Like, where does it come from? Where does the money for UBI come from if the natural state of the free market is deflation? Meaning, if you didn't have UBI, if you just held Bitcoin and you were in the new system, every year prices are falling for you forever.
Yep.
And it would accelerate. So if you wanted UBI, where does the money come from? It comes from stopping the prices from falling. That's where it comes from. It comes from manipulating the free market to stop prices from falling, to convince you it's somebody else's fault and you need money, because you wouldn't need that money or the job if prices kept falling.
Maybe, can you explain that further?
So why prices fall, because we use the more value, is also because more value costs less to be able to create. So new competitive. And why does it cost less? Because we use technology that removes jobs to be able to create more value for people. So the fall in prices is a part of the jobs being removed. So if you're in Bitcoin, you already see it, right? If you were in Bitcoin 4 years ago or 8 years ago, and you just bought $100 a week, you never have to worry about groceries or anything else again right now.
Mm-hmm.
Prices are falling forever on those items, and they will continue to fall forever on all of those items. What you're describing is you're measuring from the system, thinking prices always rise. I don't have enough Bitcoin, and from that system, prices will keep rising, and then you lose your job, and you wonder how you're going to pay for those groceries, because you're not living in a Bitcoin system. You're living in a fiat system, and it is a risk from the fiat system. And there's nothing, by the way, Bitcoin didn't create that problem. That problem exists in itself, right? It exists. The entire problem is essentially an economy based on theft. Like, if you just ask what money is, it's just the trade between us. It's just an abstract concept for the trade between us. So if you insert manipulation into money, to the trade between us, what would happen to our trade?
It's just entirely manipulated.
Yeah, everything. And what would happen to all of your beliefs from that system if that's what it looked like? It would have to touch absolutely everything. So it has to touch education. It has to touch. The economy is so crazy to simple. You could explain it to a 5-year-old. We trade with each other. We trade with more people all over the world to try to gain more value. And unobstructed from that, prices continue to fall forever as we gain more value. Everybody wins. It's an infinite game where everyone wins. That's everything in an economy. There is nothing else. So all of what you've learned, why people are so scared to ask the question I just asked, because they don't think they're smart enough to know something that a 5-year-old could understand simply, right? Because they're looking at it through a system that says that you're not smart enough. You need a PhD to understand how an economy works. You need to understand all of these different 3-letter words and all of this manipulation. So it's harder and more opaque to understand. And as you chase these things and you're told, oh no, that's stupid, right? You're inside this other system designed to make a very, very simple, complex system seem hard to understand.
So for anyone that's not owning Bitcoin right now, I assume this gets sort of exponentially worse as it gets exponentially better for Bitcoiners.
Yes, and that's why a lot of the Bitcoiners, because it's exponentially better for Bitcoiners, they're thinking in terms of fiat, and they'll just sell their Bitcoin and they'll move right back to fiat. They'll retire wealthy and everything else, but they'll distribute their Bitcoin to everybody else who's just coming to today. And this is going to continue to happen forever.
As the system falters, those in power focus on control, not fixing it. Programs like Universal Basic Income aim to preserve the broken system, not empower people. Central bank digital currencies will enable total government surveillance and control over spending based on social scores or behavior, an inevitable loss of freedom. Booth warns the system's architects want to rebuild on their terms, not for your freedom. But hope lies in Bitcoin, a revolution in code and math that protects agency beyond government control. The real divide is between those who understand this shift and those who don't. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.